This is hands down the most unexpected sci-fi thriller of the year. Not a single line of dialogue throughout the movie. Yet the story is incredibly clear and thought-provoking, with an open ending that leaves you in awe. If you're a fan of sci-fi, don't miss this one. The main character, Julie, has been lonely and introverted since childhood due to family issues. Even though the town is bustling, it seems no one pays attention to her faint presence. Until that night, the lights in her house suddenly flicker, and a loud noise wakes Julie from her sleep. She grabs her coat and heads downstairs. Under the pale moonlight, Julie sees a dark shadow slowly approaching her door, making a monstrous growling sound. She turns pale with fear, staring at the strange figure outside the window. She quickly takes off her shoes and runs back to her bedroom. At first, she plans to hide under the bed, but accidentally knocks over a box, making a noise. Julie is trembling with fear. She quickly moves to the other side, just barely crawling under the bed, when the door is pushed open by a humanoid monster. Julie holds her breath under the bed. To her horror, two strange feet stop right beside the bed. Julie feels like she could die on the spot. Thankfully, the creature doesn't notice her. It stomps away and exits through the window. Julie lets out a sigh of relief, quickly getting up to lock the window. After confirming there's no movement outside, she decides to head downstairs. But then she hears a noise on the roof. Could the monster still be around? Julie musters all her courage and runs downstairs. First, she shuts the door to her room. Suddenly, the lights start flickering again, and all the electrical devices make loud, piercing noises. She panics, running around the house, unplugging everything. The room falls silent instantly, but Julie feels even more uneasy. She grabs her phone to call the police. But to her surprise, the noise from the phone is even more deafening. The fridge door kept opening and closing non-stop as if it was controlled by someone. Terrified, the girl crouched in a corner, too scared to move. Right after that, all the strange phenomena suddenly stopped. But she couldn't feel any relief, because the monster was now standing near the noisy phone. Julie tried to cover her mouth, afraid to make the slightest noise. But to her horror, the fridge door opened again, trapping her in the corner. Right after that, the monster's feet appeared in front of her. Its hands slowly reached out to the fridge door. At this point, Julie had no way out. She screamed and pushed the fridge door with all her might, trying to use the moment to escape. But suddenly, the room door flew toward her, knocking her to the ground. The monster's fingers gently waved, and Julie's body moved uncontrollably. As she was about to be pulled toward the monster, she grabbed a stick and stabbed it into the monster's head. Julie miraculously survived. It wasn't until the next morning that she woke up from the shock. Looking at the dead monster, she confirmed that last night wasn't a dream. She covered the body with a curtain and tried calling the police, but her phone was broken. Not just that, none of the electrical appliances in her house worked. Even her car was just a hunk of metal now. Julie had no choice but to get dressed and ride her bike to town to report the incident. But she quickly stumbled upon an overturned car on the roadside. Nearby, her neighbor's house was severely damaged. Could it be that she wasn't the only one attacked last night? She decided to leave the area, but then she saw something terrifying. Her neighbors were lined up in neat rows, holding one hand up as if worshipping something. Following their gaze, she saw dark clouds descending to cover the entire city. In one neighbor's throat, something seemed stuck, growling as it stared at her. Julie stepped back in fear, making sure no one followed her. She looked up at the sky again, and the dark clouds were heading straight for her. Could this be an alien invasion? Julie quickly returned home. Looking at the alien-like monster's body, she became even more certain of her suspicion. Running away no longer seemed practical. The only option was to fortify her home and wait for rescue. Julie began gathering every tool she could use. She also sealed every door and window, just as she felt ready to face the challenge. The nails she had just hammered in started falling out. Right after that, a beam of blue light appeared, shining directly on the alien corpse. Julie hid behind a cabinet in fear. Summoning her courage, she peeked out, and was stunned to see the body slowly levitate and float out the window. Julie guessed that an alien spaceship might have landed nearby. Sure enough, when the blue light reappeared, a new monster materialized from the air. Julie held her breath behind the cabinet, grabbing a pair of scissors nearby. She accidentally knocked over a wooden pot. When she turned around again, the monster was suddenly right behind her. It seemed to have the ability to manipulate objects with its mind. With just a wave of its hand, it snatched the scissors from Julie. Julie had no choice but to run. She barely reached the second floor, gasping for air, when the monster shadowed her like a ghost. In a life or death moment, Julie fought back, grabbing the monster's arm and biting hard. The monster jumped back in pain, giving Julie a moment of breathing room. When the monster lunged again, Julie threw boiling water she had prepared. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to cause real harm. As the two struggled, a beam of blue light suddenly shot out, locking onto the pan in Julie's hand. However, the monster seemed immune to the blue light. Julie retreated back into her room, but the alien easily destroyed the door. She tried to fight it off with a mop, but the creature snapped it in half. Julie refused to give up. She grabbed a wooden stick and stabbed it into the monster, pinning it firmly to the wardrobe. After ensuring it couldn't escape, She quickly jumped out the window. Unexpectedly, she saw a giant monster lying on the rooftop. Julie backed away in terror. She accidentally bumped into her neighbor. The neighbor seemed dazed, grabbing Julie with a blank expression and pulling her toward the alien. The alien was making strange poses. As a UFO-like shape appeared in the sky, the neighbor's throat began to tremble. Julie seized the chance to break free. She tried to run but was grabbed again. Suddenly, a powerful beam of light shone down, lifting half of the neighbor's body into the air. Julie stared in shock at the man. But before she could feel relieved, the giant monster was still lurking. Julie ran as fast as she could, the monster chasing her relentlessly. She tried to hide in the house, but realized the monster was on the roof. Thinking quickly, Julie hid inside a car. When the monster reached her, she jumped out from the other side. The creature got stuck in the car. Julie noticed the fuel tank had been punctured by the monster. Without hesitation, she lit a fire. Flames quickly spread, followed by a massive explosion. The giant monster was burned to ashes. Julie stood up, exhausted. Just when she thought it was all over, another blue beam shot down from the sky, chasing after Julie. She hurried back into the house, but another alien creature appeared. Julie hid in a corner, planning a surprise attack. But the alien used its mind to push her away. This time, escape seemed impossible. A blazing red beam shot out, pinning Julie to the ceiling. She watched as the alien floated toward her, growling from its throat. Its mouth opened, revealing a tentacled creature. Julie watched in horror. Unable to move, she could only watch as the tentacled creature entered her mouth. Julie screamed and suddenly jumped out of bed. When she woke up, she found her house completely intact. Could it all have just been a dream? The joy of surviving the disaster. It made her cry tears of happiness. But right at that moment, the doorbell rang. Someone unexpected showed up in front of her. The joy on her face quickly faded, because it was her sister who had been gone for years. Julie quickly realized everything in front of her was just a beautiful illusion. So she reached out and pulled the worm from her mouth. Her surroundings returned to normal instantly. Julie was about to crush the creature, but then a beam from the UFO shot down. An alien appeared. It swallowed the worm whole. Julie immediately turned to run, but as she ran into the forest, she saw her lost sister again. She hesitated, wondering if it was another illusion. Her sister suddenly stabbed her with a knife. Julie, shocked, grabbed a paper knife. She slashed her sister's throat. This scene brought back memories she wanted to forget. After a while, Julie pulled herself together and kept running. But the giant monster blocked her path again. As she hesitated, a blinding light shot down. This time, Julie was truly taken aboard the alien ship. When she opened her eyes again, she found herself surrounded by a group of aliens. One of them extended its finger. It touched Julie's forehead. Suddenly, she felt like she was traveling through time. She returned to her childhood home. Then she was taken somewhere else. She saw her sister push her to the ground. Julie picked up a stone in anger. She slashed her sister's throat. This was the moment her family fell apart. It became the nightmare Julie could never escape. But in this vision, her sister unexpectedly reached out to her, as if to say that everything was in the past and she forgave Julie. Suddenly, a bright light flashed around her. Julie was thrown off the ship by the aliens. She looked up at the colorful sky. The aliens had probably left Earth. Julie felt a sense of closure. From then on, she was no longer isolated. Her personality gradually opened up. She even got along better with her neighbors. Some of them even invited her to join a dance party. Julie felt that this was the life she had always wanted. And of course, it wasn't just her. Everyone in town was immersed in perfect happiness. Because the aliens had completely transformed the place. It had now become a world free of greed and malice. A perfect world where everyone was kind. That was the full story of the movie No One Will Save You. The movie delivers a deep message about resilience, and about confronting the pain of the past. It emphasizes the importance of self-acceptance, overcoming guilt, and finding inner strength. It's also a reminder of the value of human connection, and the ability to turn fear into a drive for survival and growth. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye and see you next time.